You are listening to the 90 Days Later podcast with Anna Charles, episode 195. Welcome to the 90 Days Later podcast, where we talk about what really happens when you take a break from drinking. And it turns out to be the best thing you've ever done. I'm Anna, coach to high achievers who are done waking up with regret and ready to feel in control around alcohol. If you've ever wondered what your life could look like with less wine and more you, you're in the right place. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. And if you are new, welcome to my shame-free, judgment-free corner of the internet, where we talk all things about changing your relationship with alcohol in a way that works for you. Now, today we are diving into something that I know many of you relate to. This is something I see time and again with the brilliantly successful people who I work with one-on-one, and that is the pressure of holding it all together, right? That's how we talk about it, the pressure of holding it all together. And the it there is usually quite vague, right? Because we kind of have this sense of overwhelm in our mind. So there are actually three different experiences, though, when I look at this saying, pressure of holding it all together. There's three different things going on, three layers hiding under this phrase that I really just want to start out by talking about. Firstly, there is simply I'm just holding it all together, right? The real practical action involved with keeping life running, all the things that you do. Secondly, there is the thinking that you should be able to hold it all together, right? Which is your inner voice, your inner critic. Some people refer to this person like that's that kind of nasty, mean voice in your head that piles on all the guilt and piles on all the comparison with, well, such and such manages it, you should be able to do it too. And then thirdly, there is the pressure of being the one who holds it all together, right? Just how you feel about yourself, that kind of constant weight on your chest, the sense that if you stop, even for a moment, everything will fall apart, right? It's that pressure, that feeling that if I stop all these plates spinning, they're just going to come crashing to the ground. Now, each of these three layers are different, but when they blur together, well, that is when the glass of wine often feels like the only way out, or at least the most convenient way out. So let me walk you through a day where this might sound familiar, right? Where this kind of shows up. So the alarm goes off and you're already thinking about all the things you've got to do today. You're thinking about the meeting at 10 that you haven't prepared for, you meant to do last night, but you kind of were a bit hazy. You're thinking about the errands that need to be fitted in today. You've got to maybe drop the shoes off at the cobbler's. You're thinking, do anybody say cobblers anymore? I don't know. Maybe it's my age. Anyway, you've got to drop your shoes off to get them rehealed. Maybe there's a birthday present that you haven't ordered yet. You know, you just got to do it online, but you haven't had a moment's chance to think about it. Then there's the fact that you need to figure out dinner, right? And then there's on top of that, have you done the employee reviews? There's kind of all these things coming at you, right? This is the action piece. This is the spinning of the plates that I talked about just now. But then, if that isn't enough, so it starts there, and this is then when the shoulds start layering on. You start shoulding yourself, right? I should be calmer, right? This isn't an awful lot of stuff. I mean, I've had worse days. I should be calmer. Or I should have prepped better. I should have got ahead. I'm always telling the kids to get ahead. I should have got ahead. I should be grateful. I have this life instead of being stressed out. I mean, a lot of people have much worse lives than this, right? And then I should be able to manage this. Other people do. Other people manage this with far less support than I do. Why can't I? Right? So by the end of the day, if we're doing this to ourselves throughout the day, the pressure has built. Right? That's a past tense there, right? It's happened. We are now in pressure mode. And pressure is sneaky. It isn't just the list of things that you have to do. It's more an identity that you feel trapped in, Right? There's a big difference thinking I've got all these things to do versus I'm the one who keeps it all going. I can't stop. Right? Or you fear that if you stop that the cracks are going to show. It's all just going to collapse. It's all going to collapse around you. And guess what? You're going to be the one who's going to have to pick up the pieces. Right? Then this is the exact moment when the brain just whispers, wine, come on, just one glass. You deserve it. It's going to let you exhale. This is your time. That's your thing. It's your 5 minutes piece. Don't let anyone take that from you. And this isn't even because you want the buzz. All right? It's not about that at all. It's just maybe you want the weight to lift, or you just want a little bit of, oh my gosh, if I could just sit down and give myself something that I need in that moment. I'm just going to feel a bit less weighty, a bit less heavy. People talk about feeling very heavy, right? So the wine is going to make me feel a bit lighter. But listen, I want to tell you this, and you probably know this logically, but I'm going to explain it. Alcohol does not solve any of those 3 layers. It certainly, you might think it does, maybe momentarily, like for the first 5 minutes, but really it doesn't at all, right? Because it doesn't do the actions. I want you to think about that. The lunches still need packing. The inbox is still full. You still have to return the call. You still got to go online and order the birthday gift. So it doesn't do any of the actions. Doesn't help you out there. It doesn't rewrite the shoulds. In fact, they often scream louder after you drink. Why did you do that again? You should have been stronger. You knew this was coming. You knew you'd had a hard day. You knew you were going to have that desire, that whisper for the wine. You should have been able to resist it. I don't, by the way, encourage people to resist, but this is something that we're taught out there in the internet. It doesn't work in the long run, but you might be thinking that you should have just been stronger, right? So the wine doesn't help with that, right? It just makes that voice louder. And then the wine does not remove the pressure, because it's all that stuff is still there. And if anything, again, it adds another layer, because you are then, not only are you worried about all the things that you've got to do, all the things that you should be able to do and all that shoulding, but now you're thinking, oh my gosh, now I've got this drinking on top of it, right? So I did it again. All that stuff needs doing. I still feel bad. In fact, I feel worse now because I'm having to manage my drinking. I mean, why am I still doing this? I should have figured this out a long time ago. Right, so we have a bit of a, we make ourselves, we just become better at doing the thing that's freaking us out, i.e. the drinking, by doing more of it. And then there's an additional layer of worry on top of that. We worry, did others notice? Then we know we're going to carry some regret probably into tomorrow. That's what the last 2 podcast episodes have been about. All right, so just want you to see that alcohol, even though we tell ourselves maybe we feel better in the moment and it does relieve the pressure, it actually doesn't. I mean, it really does not. This is a lie we tell ourselves. At most, what the wine does is it presses pause, but it does not take a single brick out of that heavy backpack you've been carrying. And there are other ways to press pause, right, that are going to serve us. So let me just give you a few examples of how this shows up, because I think real examples can really help. Maybe you've been holding it together with back-to-back meetings. I mean, this was my life, right? Lots and lots and lots of meetings. Now that's the action. And then you add all the shoulds on that. I should be able to switch off without snapping at the kids when I get home. And then comes the pressure, but I'm the provider. I'm the one who goes out, earns the crust. I'm the one everyone relies on. Now, my family didn't only rely on me. My husband was out there too. But, you know, to me, it's really important that I pull my weight. I like to be an equal partner. I love being an equal breadwinner, right? I like that. But that comes with a sense of pressure, right? Because you know what you should be doing or what you need to be doing. And then when that happened, when I got into that kind of routine, that's when I would just pour a drink. But here's the alternate instead. What if instead you just gave yourself permission to sit in the car for 5 minutes or 2 minutes, right, before walking inside? So you drive home, you know the wine's there, maybe your heart is kind of pounding, and maybe you're feeling a bit excited at the idea, I'll be able to go in there and pour that wine. I know it's waiting for me, that crisp Chablis in the fridge. I mean, these are the words I used to use. So just give yourself a couple of minutes, up to 5 even, just to sit in the car Let your nervous system do a little bit of a reset. This is one of those transition moments. I should do a podcast on transitions, actually. Transition moments are when a lot of the difficulty happens. And then if you sat in the car just for a few minutes, that is a pressure release that does not give you tomorrow's regret. And here's the thing, even if you then go in and drink, you have still made a little change, and you can then repeat that for the next week. Maybe here's another example. If you're hosting, I know a lot of people feel especially when they're hosting, they want this to be perfect, right? Maybe you're cooking and you're tidying, and then you're making sure when the guests arrive, everyone feels welcome. Now that's the action, right? And you've probably spent hours leading up to this in terms of action, right? This is the compelling event. This is the time when the pile of books that's on the sideboard, you finally find a home for it because people are coming around. This is when you fix that little bit of painting that needs fixing. And then all the shoulds happen. I should make this perfect. I should be able to do this by now. I should be relaxed. They're not going to want to see me stress. I should also look like I'm having fun, even though I'm sort of scanning to make sure everyone else is having fun. And then the pressure, right? That third level of pressure happens. If people don't have a great time, that's going to reflect on me, right? Because I'm responsible here. And so alcohol, of course, feels like the shortcut to kind of loosen up, right? But the reality is you'll end up monitoring your glass and you're going to be second guessing yourself anyway, right? The braver move than just going with that is to choose your drink ahead of time. Always plan ahead of time, and then let yourself actually be present without that kind of, it's like kind of like a side hustle. Side hustles are big here. It's kind of like you've got the side hustle of managing your alcohol. I want you to imagine just how much easier that would be. Even when you have all that pressure still, you might still have all that pressure of the hosting and prepping and so on. But then when the guests are there, you're not then also kind of manage your alcohol consumption. Or then another example here, my third one here, maybe, this is so heartfelt here. Maybe you've noticed resentment creeping in, right? You're still picking up all the things. You're still doing all the action. Maybe you're saying, look, we're going to have the people, and these can build, right? We're going to have the hope, we're going to have the guests round, and you're going to make something exotic. You're going to make a beef Wellington or something, right? Or maybe a great big trifle with all the layers, and they have to be set and prepared and the whole thing, because you think, yeah, that's what I want to do. And then as you're doing it, you think, oh, I shouldn't have done this. Why did I do this? I'm the only one. My husband didn't expect this of me. The guests certainly won't expect this of me. I'm the one putting myself under pressure. Why do I always do this to myself, right? That there's another level of resentment pressure that can build. And then you get into, well, as I was the one who decided this, I just have to see this through. I can't complain. I shouldn't ask for help. I've just got to kind of live with it right now, right? And this is when the wine maybe feels a bit like a protest and a release all rolled into one, right? I shouldn't have done this, but I'm going to need it because I'm in this situation, and I don't care what I said before. This is what I'm going to do. This is where we can get into rebellion, right? I'm a grown up. So what if I wasn't going to have it before? But here's the thing. We can always ask for help. I don't care if you're the one who has the big project and maybe your husband or your wife said, it's a bit too much. And then, you find it is too much. You can still ask for help. You can delegate. I mean, I get my clients all the time to just practice little bits of delegating. And this is especially so if you feel that you are the best place to do a certain thing around the house. I see this all the time. I'm the one who does the accounts, or I'm the best one to do this, or they just don't do it as well as I do. Teach them. Teach your children. Teach your partner. Teach your husband. Teach the people around you. Ask for help. That is not a sign of weakness. It's actually a case of it's leadership. You're leading to yourself, right? You start saying to yourself, I matter too. So what if I had this grand plan and it hasn't maybe come off single-handedly? But there are people around. There are bodies around here who can help. And if you are on your own, and there aren't people to help, ask, how can I, stop, pause, what can I do instead, right? Do I need to do the 6 layers of the trifle? Can we just have the 1 layer and then we'll have a little bit of pouring cream on that, right? There are always options. And if you look for these options and you look for ways to manage this pressure, it really is a case of saying, I matter too. And again, the key thing here is the more you manage that, the less of a grip the wine is going to have, because you won't be desperate for that relief so much, right? So if some of these examples and what I'm saying, if this is really resonating, really some practical things that you can do in addition, as I said, to asking for help and so on, is it can be really helpful for you just to name what layer of pressure is at play here, right? You can ask yourself, am I just tired from all the action, from all the doing? Am I buried under a mountain of shoulds? Or am I really just cracking under the pressure because I know, I'm sort of really thinking about this and thinking this is all of my doing. And once you name it, you see, you can then match the solution. If it is the action, if you're kind of there's just too many things. I don't mind doing all things. There's just too many of them. Get practical, right? I want you to, because if this is something you see all the time, it doesn't have to be some one-off event. Maybe it's just every day. I mean, there's just so much to do. Just pre-decide a ritual. Maybe decide at 10 a.m. what tonight's switch off is going to look like. Don't wait until you're exhausted. Look ahead. Plan for this. If you find you're drowning in shoulds, I want you to challenge them. Whose standard are you holding yourself to? Who says that you should be able to do this? Who says you should have learned better by now? Is it really true, or is it just a story that you are rehearsing and playing through? And if it really is the pressure, sort of the overall pressure in terms of how you're thinking about yourself, I want you to give yourself permission to let yourself drop one ball or ask someone else to carry it. Right? Just have a go. I talk often about a CEO I used to work for, and her daughter was so scared at the idea of being put on. They had a naughty bench at the school for children who were naughty, misbehaved, and they'd have to sit on this bench during break time. And she became absolutely almost paralyzed to the point where she didn't want to go to school. And then the CEO, she said to her, okay, I challenge you to get yourself on the naughty bench. And she did. And she found out that it wasn't so bad. And what that did was it relieved the pressure. Now, of course, this is not the green light to go off and do all the bad things. This is not the green light to say, well, I'm not doing anything. This is not the green light to say, that's all too much pressure. Not talking yourself into that. But it is the green light to say yourself that you matter. Right? This is really not about perfection. I say this again and again and again. It isn't even about getting it always right all the time. But it's about building small, real, tangible, accessible ways to release weight without just defaulting to pouring a glass of wine. Right? Those are the options that we have. We can just get ahead of this. We can get ahead of this pressure so that we aren't in this position where we're holding it all together. Or even if we believe we are holding it all together, it's only for short sprints of time. This is about knowing how to treat yourself. So here's what I want you to walk away with. You really do not need alcohol to hold it all together. The alcohol really does not help you hold it all together, right? You just don't need that. You need to know if you're really suffering under this. I really encourage you to see which layer of pressure you're dealing with, and then choose something that genuinely serves you. It's going to help you. Or just, if you don't know, just guess and think, okay, what one little thing could I do differently that might ease this a little bit? And then when you truly see this, and when you see that you are in control of this, that you are the one who can ease or relieve that pressure, that you do not need wine to do this, the wine stops being your only means of escape, and it becomes optional. It becomes forgettable. It becomes irrelevant. And I often say there is nothing wrong with having a glass of wine, but when we're using the wine to create a feeling, we do not need to go that way, right? Wine does not relieve pressure. Now, if this landed for you, if you're ready to stop carrying the pressure alone, and maybe you're feeling pressure because maybe this drinking thing, you think, whatever that means for you, to whatever level has got out of hand, and you don't feel you have your arms around it, and you're trying to hide that. I see this a lot, right? It feels very lonely and there's pressure there. I can help you, right? I have zero judgment on this. I have been there myself. I've come out the other side, and I help many, many others do this too. It is totally possible and within your control to create a life where drinking, if you decide to have the occasional drink, is just an easy choice and an intentional one, and it is not something you do by default, right? That is the big thing. We're not into automatic drinking. If this is what you want, this is totally possible, and you can achieve it much more quickly than you might think. And if you haven't yet, it just means you haven't found the way that works yet. And I'm not interested in temporary, being on the wagon, holding on for grim life. I am only interested in long-term change. So if that is what you want, book a free discovery call with me. We will talk about where you are, where you want to be. I see all flavors of this, and then I will map for you the exact path to get you there. So there'll be no confusion. You will know exactly what it will take to get there. And then I will guide you there every step of the way. You will know what to do. Will know what's coming up. And it's just fun. I mean, it's not always easy, but it is certainly simple and it is fun. And if that's what you want, you can go to 90dayslater.co and click on the book a call button, or there will be a link in the show notes. All right, so I wish you a pressure-free or a lessened, reduced pressure week, and I will see you next time. If this episode hit home and you're ready to explore what life could look like with alcohol in the back seat, let's talk. I work with people one-on-one who are ready to create the relationship with alcohol that works for them, so they feel powerful in their choices and at peace with their habits. Go to 90dayslater.co and click on book a call, or grab one of the free guides in the show notes to this episode. And if this podcast is helping you, a rating or review goes a long way to help others find this work too.